Have you ever watched someone steal the happiest day of your life while your own family applauded them for it?
I have.
My sister announced she was getting married on my wedding date at my wedding venue, wearing a smile that dared me to complain. Everyone expected me to cry, argue, and eventually surrender. Instead, I quietly smiled because they had no idea my real wedding would happen somewhere they would never think to look. My name is Hannah, and growing up, my older sister Lily was always the favorite. If we both earned good grades, hers were celebrated while mine were expected. If we both made mistakes, mine somehow became the bigger problem. My parents insisted they loved us equally, but actions have a way of telling the truth words try to hide. When my fiancé, Noah, proposed after 5 wonderful years together, I honestly believed things would finally be different. My parents hugged me. My mother cried. Even Lily smiled. For one beautiful weekend, I felt like the center of my own story. Then reality returned. We booked a charming countryside vineyard nearly 14 months before our wedding. It overlooked rolling hills, had an old stone chapel, and a garden filled with white roses. Noah and I fell in love with it immediately. The manager congratulated us as we signed the contract. "This date fills quickly," she said. "You were lucky." I remember squeezing Noah's hand. "We really are." We told only close family. I wanted everything to stay simple. A month later, Lily announced she was engaged. Everyone celebrated. I celebrated too. I truly believed both sisters could enjoy this chapter together. That illusion lasted exactly 9 days. Sunday dinner at my parents' house began like every other family gathering. Halfway through dessert, Lily stood and tapped her glass. "We've booked our wedding." Everyone applauded. My mother asked excitedly, "When?" Lily looked directly at me before answering. "June 14th. My fork slipped onto the plate. That was my date. I forced a smile. "What venue?" "The Rose Hill Vineyard." My heart stopped. That was my venue. The room became strangely quiet. Finally, I laughed softly. "Very funny." Nobody laughed back. My father cleared his throat. "Lily's reservation is confirmed." I stared at my parents. "You knew?" My mother avoided my eyes. They explained everything. I looked back at Lily. "You booked my wedding." She shrugged. "They liked our guest list better." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "We signed that contract over a year ago." Lily folded her arms. "You can always choose another weekend." I turned toward my parents. "You're actually supporting this?" My father's answer still echoes in my memory. "You're younger. Asking you to compromise is easier." Compromise. That was the word they used for stealing the biggest day of my life. Noah reached for my hand beneath the table. I could feel him trying to stay calm. I stood. "I need some air." Outside, I sat on the porch steps while tears rolled silently down my face. Noah joined me a few moments later. "We'll fix this." "I don't want another fight." "Then don't fight." I looked at him. "What do you mean?" He smiled in that calm way that always made impossible situations feel manageable. "Let's stop telling everyone our plans." The idea sounded strange. But the invitations? We haven't mailed them. I slowly realized what he meant. If everyone expected us to chase the original wedding, maybe we didn't have to. Maybe we could quietly build something entirely different. The next morning, while everyone assumed I was arguing with vendors, Noah and I drove 3 hours north to visit a private lakeside estate his grandparents had once recommended. The moment we arrived, I forgot all about the vineyard. Crystal water reflected the mountains. A wooden dock stretched into the lake. Wildflowers covered the surrounding hills. The owner smiled. "One wedding canceled last week." He checked his calendar. "June 14th is available." Noah looked at me. I smiled through happy tears. Without saying another word, we signed the contract. Only 5 people would know. Everyone else, including my parents and Lily, could keep believing they had stolen my wedding. The following weeks became strangely peaceful. Lily assumed she had won. My parents believed I was quietly searching for another wedding date. Relatives kept calling with sympathetic advice. Be the bigger person. Family is more important than one day. You can always celebrate later. I thanked them politely. I never corrected anyone. Meanwhile, Noah and I planned our real wedding in complete silence. Only 5 people knew the truth. His parents, my grandmother, the officiant, and Noah's lifelong best friend. Everyone else continued believing the vineyard ceremony would happen exactly as Lily had announced. Grandma visited me one afternoon carrying a small photo album. She smiled before placing it on my lap. I know. I looked at her. You know what? You already changed everything. I blinked in surprise.
How?
She laughed softly. Your grandfather always said smart people stop arguing once they've already solved the problem. I couldn't help smiling. So, you're not angry? She squeezed my hand. Hannah, a wedding isn't about proving someone wrong. It's about beginning the right life. Tears filled my eyes. She hugged me tightly. I'll be exactly where I belong. Wedding week arrived faster than either Noah or I expected. Social media filled with Lily's countdown posts. My mother uploaded photographs of dress fittings. My father proudly shared details about welcoming guests to the vineyard. Every post made me smile. Not because they were wrong. Because they had never once asked me whether anything had changed. The morning of June 14th finally arrived. Noah and I woke before sunrise at the lakeside estate. Mist floated gently across the water. Wildflowers swayed in the cool breeze. Birds sang from nearby trees. Everything felt peaceful. There were no dramatic phone calls. No last-minute arguments. Only happiness. At exactly 10 o'clock, while guests gathered at the vineyard expecting another family confrontation, I walked barefoot along the wooden dock toward Noah. Grandma waited beside the officiant wearing her favorite blue dress. When she saw me, she smiled with tears in her eyes. I knew you'd find your own path. The ceremony lasted only 20 minutes. No speeches about family expectations. No unnecessary drama. Just promises. Laughter.
Love.
When Noah kissed me, applause echoed across the quiet lake. At almost that exact moment, chaos erupted 3 hours away. Guests arriving at the vineyard discovered something unexpected. Lily's decorations filled the garden. But the bride everyone expected to surrender never appeared. My parents repeatedly called my phone. I silenced every notification. Then Grandma's phone rang. She answered calmly. My mother's frantic voice echoed loudly enough for all of us to hear. Where's Hannah? Grandma smiled. Getting married.
What?
Exactly where she chose. You knew. Yes. And you didn't tell us? Grandma's voice remained gentle. You never asked about Hannah. You only talked about Lily. The line became completely silent. Then Grandma quietly ended the call. We spent the afternoon celebrating beside the lake with music, homemade desserts, and people who genuinely wanted to be there. It wasn't the largest wedding. It wasn't the most expensive. It was simply ours. That evening, after posting one wedding photograph online, the messages began arriving. Confused relatives. Surprised friends. Even strangers congratulated us. The picture showed Noah and me smiling beneath the mountains while the caption read, "The perfect day happens wherever love is welcomed." The next morning, my parents came to the estate. They looked exhausted. My mother cried the moment she saw me. We missed your wedding. I nodded quietly. Yes. We didn't know.
No.
You should have told us. I looked gently into her eyes. I spent my whole life telling you when something mattered to me. Neither parent spoke. My father lowered his head. We thought you'd give in. I know. I'm sorry. So am I. Not because they missed one ceremony. Because favoritism had finally cost them something they could never experience again. Years later, people still ask whether changing the venue was my revenge. It wasn't. Revenge would have meant ruining Lily's wedding. Instead, I protected my own happiness. Sometimes the strongest response to betrayal isn't fighting harder for a place where you were never valued. Sometimes it's quietly choosing a place where you're celebrated instead. My sister believed she stole my wedding day. She never realized the only thing she truly stole was my family's chance to witness one of the happiest moments of my life. And that was a loss they would carry long after Noah and I happily began the next chapter together.